So Bitcoin is getting a nice pump here off the back of some major news coming out of Canada. They're essentially doing the full marketing campaign for decentralized money right about now with their new Emergencies Act. We're going to jump into this today and see the potential consequences of this and also why decentralized money is something you must have in your possession. If you enjoy the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Also check out the link down below if you want to support the Canadian truckers via the Honk Honk Hodl campaign. Bit of a mouthful there. So here we are, the Bitcoin chart. We're looking pretty good here with a nice pump out of this kind of 42 to 41k region that we found ourselves in over the last few days. We consolidated in there and then we have a big spike up in volume over the last few hours off the back of this breaking news from Canada. And it seems that Canada is buying into Bitcoin, or at least making the case for Bitcoin here as people start to get involved, since they realize that governments cannot be trusted to have total control over your spending power. So I do believe we'll move up to this white line, this previous resistance around 44.5 to 45.5, an area we have visited like a magnet here over the past couple of weeks. So this is a point of resistance in the chart that we should teleport towards. And then a real battle can begin if we can break this kind of region. We're looking at 47k as the next target area. So what's been going on? Well, if you've been living under a rock, there has been vast protests in Canada against the vaccine mandates. So many truckers have been parking up their vehicles in convoy to protest these vaccine mandates that they believe are an infringement of their human rights, which is totally fair enough. We've kind of moved past the whole COVID pandemic thing right now. Numbers have been in free fall in terms of hospitalizations and deaths, but the Canadian government seems to really want to force this upon their citizens and primarily the truckers, who are saying, no, we don't want to get these vaccines. So Trudeau invokes emergency powers against truckers and protesters so their bank accounts can be frozen. So taking the stance that we're not going to try and, arrest these guys and move them away. We don't want that kind of battle. What we're going to do is just cripple them financially. So Trudeau invokes emergency powers in a bid to end the protest against these COVID health rules. And this Emergency Act really has been utilized to test the will of those protesting right now. So this act gives them the power to just remove your financial inclusion in the system, freeze your funds, and essentially cripple you financially, which is very, very worrisome. And this promotes decentralized money, having a form of money that can't be infringed upon by a third party. You can spend at your own will and interact with absolutely anybody you wish to. This is the perfect scenario for Bitcoin to thrive. And this comes about a week after GoFundMe said it was withholding millions of dollars raised for Canadian truckers after they cited police reports of violence. So the government had already got to the GoFundMe guys and put an end to crowdfunding here, but this Emergency Act takes things an even step further. So what happened with this GoFundMe was that law enforcement previously said there was a peaceful demonstration, but updated reports now said it was violent and unlawful in its activity. So utilizing a caveat, the word of a centralized authority, they started to deem the protest as a breach of their terms and conditions, and so removing financial support. Some hot takes from Twitter here. Justin Trudeau is invoking the Emergencies Act because of the trucker convoy. Canada is not in an emergency, and the politicians who wish to push mandates on unwilling populations are. And this poses the question as well, would it not just be easier to remove the COVID mandates at this point, as many other countries around the globe are starting to do, rather than continue to battle with your own population and threatening them with exclusion from the financial system? Again, down here, Emergency Measure Act is martial law, folks. New names to sound less bad, it's just a government trick. And you've got to think about when they pull in these emergency acts and you pass things, well, this gives the government additional powers that they're never going to relinquish. We always see this. The more powers the government take, the less rights you have as a citizen, and they never give these powers back. And you've got to think 10, 20, 30 years down the line, who else could be in charge of this country? You think there's tyranny now, imagine an even worse leader and what effects that can have on the next generations. And as Martini Guy posts here, they can seize funds in bank accounts without warning or reason. Essentially what they can do is go around the protests, film everyone, try and get some names, and then go and block your bank account. They're also taking the number plates of the various trucks and voiding insurance for those trucks. So this is really putting the livelihoods of thousands of protesters on the line here, and it's a really horrible, underhanded tactic to have taken. I'll leave the link down below. I think this is the Deputy Prime Minister who goes through the act they're pushing through here, and this is one of the best Bitcoin ads ever created. Dan Tapiero, if there was ever a better explanation for why Bitcoin is necessary and exists, I do not know of it. You would expect this to be maybe a developing nation that was using these kind of tactics to oppress their people, but no, it is Canada. And as Ryan Sarkis puts here, simply just buy Bitcoin. And that certainly looks like what is happening on the chart right now. Constant buy pressure here, some good volume coming in for BTC as people are waking up to this news and realizing they need decentralized money. We're also getting a bit of a double whammy effect as we're seeing some Russian troops removed from the borders and the news wheel now flipping towards the narrative that we have prevented a war escalation. So let me know down below, what do you think about this whole situation? This is essentially very good for Bitcoin and decentralized money, as the use case could not be more obvious in times like right now. But will this be the juice that gets us to squeeze above the resistance at around 44, 45k? Can we get up to 47 or even beyond? Drop me a comment down below and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Goodbye.